Fighting back, to me, is really taking control.
Taking and finding your own power.
This is something that you can get over.
There is a way out. Every year in the United States, well over 100,000 young people are sexually abused, an offense which can include anything from unwanted sexual exposure to all-out rape. Sexual molestation happens to young women and men. Offenders are male or female, and of any age, race, or income level. The abuser is often someone the person knows and trusts, and whether it happens once or repeatedly, the traumatic effects of sexual abuse, if left untreated, can be long-lasting and very hurtful.
Being abused robs people of the feeling that they are equal to everyone else. I know for myself, I always felt lesser than. I was about 8 years old. The guy that abused me was someone I trusted. He was one of my brother's best friends. I just remember feeling very guilty, like, what did I do to bring this on?
He was our neighbor. We lived right next door, and he was like father image to me. I mean, my mom and my dad got divorced when I was real young, so I loved the attention. He taught me how to drive a car when I was 10. He took me camping, we watched movies, and after a while he just started molesting me. I didn't tell my mom at all about it because I was scared. I didn't know how she was going to react.
My family is run on trust. I think it's an Italian thing. Everyone trusts everyone because that's a family. 10 years old, I go far away from home. An older relative invited me to spend the summer. I got there, all of my things were thrown away, and then it happened very quickly. He began with verbal abuse and then escalated into sexual abuse and would not let me alone 24 hours a day. It was dizzying. It was dehumanizing.
For a long time, I really did love my dad, but I was always very, very afraid of him. And then after I turned like 7 or 8, I just stopped loving him completely, and I just feared him all the time. Sometimes he'd come in the middle of the night, sometimes it'd be at 3 o'clock in the morning, sometimes it'd be when nobody was home, sometimes it'd be when everybody was home, but he's never admitted it. Right after it happened, I'd usually go in the bathroom, and I'd just sit there and I'd start crying, and I'd just start pounding my legs, and then the rest of the time I just put a smile on my face and just act like nothing ever happened.
There were times when I was there that I felt very responsible for what was going on.
I felt like I was the one who brought it on, and no one told me otherwise.
I know it wasn't my fault now. I know it was his fault. He was the person that was sick in the head. It was all him, not me.
I don't feel responsible at all looking back on the situation. It was not my fault at all.
No matter what, it's never your fault. No kid ever does anything to deserve being hit or sexually abused or anything. No child deserves to be treated that way.
Just that sometimes life is not fair, but that doesn't mean it can break you. If you're strong, if you regain your courage, you can take control of the situation.
Telling and talking about it has been my turning point. If I hadn't told, the secret would still be inside, and secrets hurt. I have a strong family background, 3 older sisters, much older than I. My abuser was my brother-in-law. He was married to my oldest sister for 20-something years. I was like their own child. I did love him. There was no reason not to, except for, of course, the fact of the abuse. I was probably about 8 when it started. Many times it happened in a car. He would masturbate while driving. I'd be having to sit next to him, experiencing the whole thing, not having a clue to what was going on. It was terrifying. It was awful. It was the smallest place I'd ever been because it was trapped. I was locked in. That's the scariest part. I think he probably believed what he had done in masturbating in front of me was harmless. But molest is a number of different things, and I think all of them are just as emotionally harming. I felt shame. I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed that it had happened to me, something so unusual and sexual when I was so young. And shame is so awful because you feel dirty. You feel no respect for yourself. Trust is a big part. When you trust somebody and you believe in them and you actually love them, they're a part of your life, and they do something like this to you, it makes no sense. I never wanted to tell because I knew that it would hurt a lot of people's feelings, and that's kind of the way I was brought up. If you don't have anything nice to say, you don't say it. I don't think any of my friends, would have had any idea. I was real outgoing, cheerleaded, homecoming queen. I mean, there was no reason anybody would have believed I had a secret like this. I didn't tell until I was about 19. I was at lunch with my sister, and she told me our brother-in-law had molested her. My face immediately had this expression as if, you mean I wasn't the only one? And she knew immediately it had happened to me. We all had to go to the police department, my sister and I. We gave our reports. He admitted to what he had done. We decided not to press charges. But one thing we asked was that he got therapy and that he pay from our therapy and counseling sessions. Group therapy was incredible. It's a place where you can go and know that you're not alone. Everybody there can understand what you're going through.
It's good to know I have friends, people that will support me, and I can support them.
And being honest with one another and saying, I'm having a bad day, I need help. And knowing that...
That's the hardest thing to do.
And when you invited me to your house for Christmas when I didn't have a family to go to meant so much to me. I'll never forget that. So, yeah.
Therapy can't be the only way in your life to heal. It's only a part of what you have to end up applying. I work with a child advocate group called Safeguarding Our Children United Mothers. We do a lot of work with education, public awareness. This issue's been in the closet for way too many years. It needs to be disclosed. Something like this you never forget. The only catch is it gets easier to deal with. And it only gets better once you tell. It can only get better.
If you or someone you know is being abused, call 1-800-4-A-CHILD and tell someone who can help. The call is toll-free, confidential, and will not appear on your telephone bill. The line is open 24 hours a day. Please call and get the help you deserve.
Thursday night, it's Newt Raw as the Speaker of the House speaks up.
You change America faster with new ideas rather than new regulations.
Speaks out.
I think we have the new ideas and new solutions, and I think that it's radically different than the Democrats.
And answers questions about the issues that are important to you.
Who's going to make sure that if I have a job, I can keep it? And who's going to make sure if I don't have a job, I can get it?
NTV News, Newt Raw, Thursday night at 10.
Let's get it all out in the open. Let's talk about it.
In some of the cases of abuse you have heard about here, the accused offenders were not confronted or charged with any crime. Many young people are afraid to take legal action or even personally confront their offenders for fear of not being believed, of destroying their families, or from fear of reprisals from the abuser. Often victims of abuse are not believed when they first tell their stories, and most offenders do not readily admit their crimes. Nevertheless, it is still important to tell and keep telling until you are believed. Keeping it a secret usually makes matters worse.
I've always dealt with my own problems myself. I'm sure most guys are like that, and I basically try to blank it out. I remember I drank a lot. I thought maybe if I drank a lot, it might help ease the pain, make me forget, but drinking, drugs didn't help at all. They just put put it aside for a short time, and then when the day wore off, the bad memories were still there. So I just started drinking more.
Some people call it a cycle of violence. What it was for me was I just continually destroyed myself. I sought sex and was much more sexually active than was actually appropriate. It's not that sex isn't fun, but I took it to another level, to another degree, to where it was destructive for me, where it wasn't fun. It allowed me to sort of numb myself out, but afterwards was when the pain really hit. Then I would have suicidal feelings, which would then cause me to be more self-destructive, and it was just this never-ending spiral downward.
I wouldn't hug my friends. I would avoid even hugging family members. Being close to people was not okay because it wasn't safe anymore. But as I got older, I had an amazing addiction for danger. I would love to drive very fast. I loved motorcycles. I wanted to put myself into dangerous situations and get myself out of them. But what I was doing was risking my life. What I was doing was saying, what is my life really worth? My life isn't worth that much.
There were definitely times where I was like, if this happens once more, I'm going to kill myself. You know, I just can't deal with it. I was screaming inside. I was crying inside all the time. But I never knew what to do about it. The thought of death, I think, scared me more than anything else at that time. And then it just seemed like, you know, just to hold on is so much more important than just completely letting go. I definitely don't think it's hopeless now. If you do something about it, it's definitely not hopeless.
No matter how painful it is right now, there can be an end to it.
You shouldn't commit suicide just because of something like this. There's no reason for it. I mean, there's a lot out there to live for.
But you have to hang in there. You have to have the faith in yourself to stand up and say, I'm not going to let this happen anymore. That's when it stops.
It's kind of like the whole idea of water everywhere and not a drop to drink. It's like people everywhere, but you can't talk to anyone. Being abused is a very difficult trial. I was about 3 years old. It was an older sibling who sexually took advantage of me. I looked up to him. I trusted him. I wanted to do a lot of the things that he did. He was as close to a male role model that I had, but I always felt intimidated. The only time I didn't really fear him, well, the only time I felt close to him was when he was abusing me. That can feel like love. That can feel like what love is supposed to be, even though you know that you don't feel comfortable. You have a lot of feelings that just get balled up inside of you. As I was growing up, there was just nowhere for any of that bad feeling to go. I would avoid things, avoid people, curl up into a little ball and hide, and that's how I dealt with my problems. I didn't. Then I made the worst decision that could be made in that kind of a situation. I abused my younger siblings. I did the same things that were done to me. I can't understand myself turning around and doing that same stuff that hurt me so bad. There's no justification for it. You forget the reasons why things are wrong. You get into a cycle where you're just kind of stuck, and deep down you feel like you're trapped. The only way that you can really stop something like that sometimes is through outside intervention. My abusing others ended when I got caught. I was charged with 2 counts of incest in the 1st degree, and I was sent through the court system, tried as a juvenile, given a sentence, and I've been in treatment ever since. First time I went into therapy, it was really scary, but as I got more comfortable, I started to realize that all of this was here to help me. I know now that I had control the entire time and I could have stopped, and didn't. Therapy can't take away the guilt, can't take away the fact that you did it. It's not a way of getting out of it. There's still consequences for everything that you do. Looking back on it now, I've learned that every moment of time is very important. If I had told the first time I'd been abused, if I had told the second time all of this would have been stopped a long time ago. You can get out of any abusive situation, it's just a matter of choice. And I can say right now that I've made a conscious choice to never hurt another person or myself again.
You can break the cycle of destructive and self-destructive violence. If you have been abused or are abusing others, call 1-800-4-CHILD and get immediate, personal, and confidential information on how to take control of your life.
Sexual abuse is illegal, and in recent years, laws have changed to protect young people. Still, it's difficult to win in court, and many find that the legal route to justice is a difficult one to pursue.
I don't know if it was the time, but it never occurred to anyone that we should do some legal action.
For myself, what was important was to reclaim my own life and to go on. And I felt that by going through legal channels, pressing charges, any of that kind of stuff would have prolonged my staying a victim.
My whole family went to the Child Protective Services to report the case, but my dad still denied it. They gave me the option of whether or not I wanted to press charges, and I was like, absolutely not. I just totally want to push all of it away. But now I really, really want to press charges, but due to the statute of limitation, because I've waited too long now, I can't press charges and I can't do anything about it. So he gets to be a free man.
He pleaded guilty to child molestation. He went to jail for 2 or 3 years. I wish he would have been in jail longer. I do regret that I didn't say earlier that I was molested, because I know for a fact after he molested me, he went to someone else and molested them. There's no forgiving what he did. I don't know. It makes you wonder if you can trust anyone again, but you can't. I mean, you can't trust people. And talking about your problems with someone else is how you fight back against abuse.
The first time I actually said the complete sentence, my father sexually abused me, I mean, I cried for like hours, you know? But after I'd shared it, I felt like a completely new person. I go to therapy once a week, and I went through like 12 shrinks until I finally found somebody that I was happy with, but I finally did. With the whole idea of abuse, I think it's really important just to understand that you're not alone. There are a lot of people that really want to help. You just have to take the first step to move towards them.
For about a year and a half after the abuse happened, I didn't tell anyone because it was admitting that I had been powerless, that I had not been able to fight back. Now that I'm older, I see that fighting back was simply staying alive. Today, I do practice martial arts, like sword dancing, because you feel powerful, and it inspires confidence in yourself. To other people who are in abusive situations, I would say be strong and believe in yourself, most of all, because at a lot of times, it's all the person you're going to have.
I think I've always had more control over my life than I thought I'd had, but now I actually know it. In dealing with the sexual abuse, I've discovered what an incredibly strong person I am. I read back over my journal and say, wow, I've really come a long way. And I have a lot to offer to other people because of that strength, because of what I've gone through.
I'm not a victim, I am a survivor. I went through it, I stuck through it, I got over it, and look where I am now. I started a magazine called Karen, Children Against Rape and Molestation. And it's for kids, by kids. I think they can trust me because of what happened to me. I was molested at the age of 10. My perpetrator was my godfather. After it happened, I was scared, and I didn't want to tell anyone because I didn't think that anyone would believe me. So I told myself that it didn't happen. And a year later, I realized, hey, this isn't right. And I don't want to put up with it anymore. I'm going to fight back, and I'm going to tell someone. And the next morning, I told my mom, hey, I'm being touched, I need out of here. And we went to the police station, we filed a police report, and the first thing I said to these cops were, I think he's touching other children. And finally, another child came forward, and then he confessed to everything. When my sexual abuse case went to court, I was the first minor to waive my rights to anonymity. This means the press could use my real name and face. I have decided to speak publicly about what has happened to me because I want to send a special message to other children. I was not ashamed. I was not going to hide behind a mask or a blur that you see on TV. I was going to stand up for myself and my rights because us children do have rights, tons of rights. After he confessed, there was a plea bargain, and all the counts were dropped except for one, which was a Penal Code 288A, a lewd and lascivious act upon a child. At his sentencing, I spoke to the judge. I read a statement telling him how I felt. What Richard Street did was give me nightmares and keep me from enjoying my childhood. I hate him for what he has done to my life. Then he was sentenced to the term of 3 years in state prison. Seeing him handcuffed and taken away was the best part that you could ever feel because I felt safe. A civil lawsuit is different from a criminal lawsuit. A civil lawsuit is when you want them to pay for the damages that they had done to you. In the civil suit, I asked for $500 for every bad dream, $1,000 for every bad day, and $1 million for touching my vagina.
In the case of Bartak versus Street?
Overall, we won $2,036,000. I knew that we would definitely not be making a penny out of this lawsuit because he's not a rich man, and that's not why I did it. I did it so that I could be heard and so that other kids can know they can do it. I love to talk to kids and answer their questions.
Why'd he molest you if you were his goddaughter?
I have no idea on that one. All I know is that what he did was wrong and that it wasn't my fault. And if anyone is being abused, it's never their fault. To me, fighting back is taking your power and using it in all the ways that you can. I think other kids can do even more than what I've done.
For children who keep silent, I will fight for you.
Do it. Oh, it'd be wonderful. We need more people out there to be heard and to let everyone know that we're going to rock the world.
Many young people who have been sexually violated have used the trauma to motivate themselves and find a strength they never knew they had. They teach us that abuse can happen to you, but it is not who you are. Don't let the abuser win by undermining your self-esteem. Never give in to feelings of despair. There is hope. It will stop, but only if you fight back.